Hello and welcome to my workshop tour video. I get a lot of questions about my workshop, so I figured now that I have a few new additions and some things have been moved around, it'd be as good a time as any to do a full-on updated workshop tour. This is sort of just going to be a brief overview of all of the general areas that I use. I have a few different almost like stations set up that I like to use, and then move my projects along through. And if you have any super specific questions or just want to know anything in general, feel free to put your question down in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer it. Now, I do have a pretty big shop just in terms of like a dedicated Nerf workshop. All this stuff is pretty much mine, and I sort of built it up over the past few years, mostly through Nerf modding, but I do some other like DIY projects and things of that nature. So while most of the tools are focused around use in the Nerfing hobby, not all of them are. There's some woodworking and some other smaller things that I've gotten into, but I will show you those as well because I do use most of them, like I said, for Nerf. And this sort of built up through the years. I started out with like a plastic folding table, and then it's sort of just grown exponentially over the past few years. And now I have all this crazy lighting, and this whole area is all set up just for me. Now, I recognize that this will probably be a longer video, and I'm going to definitely put some sneak peeks of upcoming projects and just give you guys some teasers, like, for example, like what's the super cool contents of this box, as well as some other projects that will be relevant to the channel in the near future. But I'm just going to throw those in randomly throughout the video just to, to keep people on their feet. I would put them all at the end, but then, people would just skip through the video and watch that part. So without any further hesitations, let's jump right into it. Okay, now normally I would stick with the tripod, but I'm going to be moving around a bit and trying to keep it entertaining. But basically, this is the main workbench here. This is a workbench that I built. My neighbor does a lot of carpentry and stuff of that nature, so he helped me design it. But basically, it's a little overkill, but it has 6 4x4 legs, which are like super beefy. And then the main construction of the frame is 2x4s. There's 2x6s, which line the top. I probably should have put a surface on, but this is fine for now. Looking back, that's probably the only change I would have made. 2x4 backsplash, and then another bottom shelving unit there. This is just kind of beefy to hold all of my bigger tools, like my drill press, my belt sander, and stuff, but we'll go over that in a minute. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you would obviously recognize this. This is my main working area, and basically this consists of my sort of cut up yoga mat, which stops a lot of the screws and things of that nature from going through the cracks. But basically I do that just as a general working area, and then I get a lot of questions and comments about the magic mat and playmat rather, and that's just due to sometimes the texture of the yoga mat gives a weird optical illusion for the camera if it's focusing on that. But that's sort of just to like break it all up and give it a bit of a different look. Okay, so the main purpose of my usual area that you see in videos is to work on the main project. This is a Strife cross bolt that I'm working on right now. The paint got really messed up because it rained while it was completely sunny out and messed up the final layer of that paint. So I'm going to do a bit of very light sanding, and then I have to go get more of the paint because that was the last of it. Totally ruined the paint job, but I can fix it. It's pretty doable. I just need to go get more paint, and that's pretty much what's holding that project up if you've seen the other video. Then I usually have a bin with all the parts for the blaster, and then smaller bins that hold all the screws and things so those don't get lost. On top of that, we have a speaker, which I hook my phone up to and use Spotify. And then a lot of the things that I use frequently, like Dremel pieces, my third hand helper tool, super glue, the usual lubricant that I use for all of my spring blasters rather, and then some other miscellaneous things. This is a award that I won from our HBZ Club's modding competition, and the soup is sort of an RIT thing, but it's like an inside joke. It would take too long to explain. On top of that, I have the whole wall pegboarded, and basically that allows me to put all of my frequently used hand tools just sort of right here in the space that I work, which is super convenient because I can sit in that chair and then just grab everything that I pretty much use on a normal basis right from where I'm working, and that sort of helps a lot. Moving over here, we have some of my other tools, which are two of the more frequently used ones. I have the vise, which is a super great addition. That's great for just freehand drilling and using a bunch of tools and things of that nature. The belt sander, which is probably my most used one, just because it makes sanding so easy for small bits and rounding corners, and when I'm making a lot of those polycarbonate plates for things, that's makes it super easy. Drill press, a little less commonly used, but great for spacers. Half the time I'm using it as a cup holder dash mug rest type thing. A few Nerf dart boards and things of that nature kind of strewn about rather. And then I have some of my other tools like the scroll saw, which I use for all my integrations, and then a chop saw, which is more woodworking, and then I have my bandsaw on the other side. It usually goes there, but as of recent, I've just moved it just because the dust tends to get everywhere. Okay, so that was the overview of the main area. Sorry if that was a bit long, but that's sort of where most of the action occurs, and it's got the most going on. Going on from there, we have the storage area, which has all my darts, magazines, and various other accessories. It's sort of separated by ammo type. Then, as you can see here, I have quite a few megas. This was from my last HVZ attempt at trying a loadout. I went with pretty much an all mega loadout, and it worked actually pretty well with the Roto Fury. These are about 200 Chinese knockoff mega darts. They're pretty decent quality, and they're way cheaper than buying actual Nerf darts. Behind here we have a bunch of just storage blasters. They're all pretty much stock, so nothing particularly special. Over here we have an airbrush, which I bought and then bought all the stuff for, thinking it would be a great idea. However, not realizing that I'm actually terrible at airbrushing, so that doesn't get used too much. Maybe I'll practice, but for right now, that's kind of just off to the side. Laptop, nothing special. I don't use that very often. It's mostly just for school. I mostly use my desktop, which maybe I'll show in one video, but it's pretty beefy by today's standards. So all my video editing and games and all that stuff gets done on the desktop, and then that's sort of just for class, and then for transferring files from the camera to the desktop, as I don't actually have an SD card slot at the moment. So I have to put it on through the laptop to a USB drive and then to the desktop. Then I have some of the current projects that I'm working on. Crossbow, which is from an older video. It's basically a snap bow, but with surgical tubing instead of a spring. It's pretty cool. It also collapses like that. It just needs a little bit of work. That project's sort of a secret, but you can pretty much figure out what's going on there. I have a Apollo that I'm working on, as well as twin hammer shots, which the first one is getting painted, and then the second one just only has the base coat, and then it still has to be painted. I'm in the middle of filming a painting tutorial that's updated, because the last one I filmed was a very long time ago. So it's sort of in various stages of progress. I think the one side has only had one coat of paint, and the other one has had two. So it's sort of a transitional piece for a series that I'm working on. Then I have just some storage and organizational things. There's the bandsaw, and then I have sort of two dividers. This could also be additional storage space for projects. This is sort of what I like to refer to as cold storage, just because it's not projects that I'm planning on working on for a while. So there's a disassembled Firefly that was originally going to be in the laser Stry, whatever the heck the name of that blaster is. Stry shot. But yeah, so basically just a bunch of parts of blasters and things of that nature that are pretty much all there. I just don't feel like working on them right now. There's a Rapid Strike in that box. Then I have some paintball and airsoft stuff down there that hasn't seen some action in a while. I used to play quite frequently, however, I haven't really been doing that since the HVZ has been much more prevalent in my life recently. Super secret sneak peek. This is going to have a lot to do with my upcoming channel posts. However, once the printer actually gets here, I'll post probably a few videos on that. But this is the first thing of the set to arrive. Moving on to some more storage shelving. On the bottom shelf here, I have a bunch of spray cans, followed by 2 shelves of various blaster parts and other things just in boxes. Most of this is pretty usable, so I just hold on to it in case I need it for mods. A few tools, heat gun, a high temp soldering iron, followed by a bunch of new and box stuff. I have a few strafes because they're my favorite and I just like working on them, followed by some other missiles and things of that nature. Rapid Red, which I'll probably use for the next Reddit contest, and then some other just various blasters. Some model planes, then I have a bunch of computer components on these various shelves, followed by some various other epoxies and paints, other components for modding, more computer parts. Down here I have Fenrir, if you remember from way back in the day on Bobololo's channel. This was, I'm not sure if it was his original channel or his current channel because there was an incident and I believe he accidentally deleted it. But I'm not sure if the videos for this are lost or not, but this was a project that he worked on. It was at one point his HVZ primary, and it's just this huge Stampede with two swarm fires integrated to it. And it's not the prettiest, but it's pretty functional. I changed the wiring a bit to have it run off of battery packs instead of like 4 9-volts or whatever it originally ran on, I believe. But yeah, that's a bit of Nerf history. I won that in a subscriber contest from him. I believe it was 2000. And then I have some tubing and other various things that just doesn't really fit anywhere, so it's in sort of a makeshift holder. I have my painting rack, which I don't know if I've published the video on this yet or not, but basically I just hang my blasters off of that while I paint them. More storage. This sort of has yet to be filled out, but it's been mostly organized. Air cannon, if you remember way back from my channel, I did a video about that guy. And then the smaller one was a test. That wasn't as effective. I think the air chamber is just too small, but maybe one day I'll go back to it. Toolbox. This basically just houses a lot of the various small hand tools that I don't use too often. Top's a little clustered just because I did some cleaning and a lot of stuff got thrown up there. But a lot of just various organized hand tools are in. So yeah, that's the general gist of my main work area. I have another sort of armory wall that I'll show after this, but this is the main area where pretty much everything happens. The lighting is just bar lighting, and it's just because without it, it would be pretty dark down here, and I do spend quite a lot of time down here, so I want to take good care of my eyes and have proper lighting. But basically, that's the main work area. Like I said, it sort of evolved from just that one table in the corner over here in the semi-dark, and then grew from that as the channel sort of grew and as I stuck with the hobby and got more tools and whatnot. So going to the other side of the basement real quick, you will see sort of the last part of my shop, and that's sort of the armory wall. This is basically where I store most of my large blasters. I have 1 or 2 bins under the stairs that are also just for storage, but this is sort of my large projects. And the nice thing about this is that it's pegboard, and it's basically completely modular in terms of what you can put on it, which is nice because I'm always moving around what blasters I have at school, and then projects get moved around and things of that nature. So it's nice because it's sort of always changing. I believe I made one video about it like way back, but it's sort of always changing, so I don't feel it necessary to make videos every time I change it. But this is just where I'd sort of display most of my large blasters. And it looks pretty sweet in my opinion. Lighting is not as great over here, but I don't spend any real time over here, so it's not worth investing in the nice bar lighting that I have. So yeah, sorry that was kind of long, but I wanted to give a relatively decent description of each of the different areas and sort of how I have it organized and where I do what, and that's basically how it ended up. So yeah, like I mentioned several times, this is sort of the buildup of several years worth of like Nerf modding and just getting more involved in the hobby and collecting more tools and things of that nature. This is pretty overkill for a dedicated Nerf working space, but it's the area I've got to work with and I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, if you watched the whole video straight through, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Like I was saying before, if you have any questions about anything specific, please drop them in the comments section. This blaster will be coming up in the near future once I work on the paint a bit more. And 3D printers in the mail, hoping to do a bit with that, just because there's a lot right now going on with the 3D printing world and the Nerf world sort of coming together. And it's a very interesting time for the Nerf modding hobby. And I'm sort of hoping to sort of capture that from an intro to 3D printer perspective. and maybe that'll help some other people out who are also new to 3D printing and sort of the things that I learned from that, as opposed to, someone who's super experienced. Might be interesting because I'll probably mess up quite a bit, and hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes. But yeah, as I always say, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video.